Hello, testing this mic. Looks like it's good. Check. Hello, Rebel Star. See your wave. How are you doing tonight? I think we are about ready to switch over. It is spoon hours, as you will see in one moment. There are many spoons. You're good. Hope you're doing okay. Yeah, I'm doing great. I got to see one of my best friends today, so I'm very happy. It was a very fun day, and now we will end it with some spoons. So here are said spoons. Whole bunch of spoons, as you can see. That is what we will be doing today, is spoon painting. Lots and lots of it. A perfect day. Yes, definitely. It was such a nice day. But yeah, so we might as well, get started. We got a lot of spoons to paint. Hope you guys are all doing well this week and had a good weekend. Busy week ahead, maybe for some of you guys, maybe not. Things are getting busier here all the time. So I'm thinking this is probably the last week that I'm going to have on this Monday, Wednesday schedule. After that, I'm going to start shifting into the new schedule, which I'm still kind of locking down. I know that Thursday will be a day for sure, but I'm not sure if I want to do Tuesday or some other weekend. I'll just have to see kind of how it goes. The reason for that being that I'm starting grad school in a couple of weeks, and the class times literally fall during these stream times, so not possible to shift it around, and not possible to move it earlier in the day on those days either, because it's a pretty full load of classes. So in any case, I'll keep you guys updated. I'll post it on Instagram and Twitter, probably not Facebook, mostly because I haven't been advertising my streams on Facebook, but as always, if you want any updates, just make sure to follow my social media. Anyway, that stuff out of the way, we're going to dive into spoon painting. I'm going to warn you guys right now that we might not get super perfect results because it is super humid today. Unfortunately, I have to keep a window open. I don't have like a vent that leads up and out, and so we'll see how that humidity affects the paint. I do have a dehumidifier in my room, which does a pretty good job of keeping everything dry, but I can already feel the stickiness, so we'll just have to kind of play it by ear and see how it goes. As a kind of recap of what we did last time, we basically finished up all the primer work on this kit, so it's ready to go at this point. All of the pieces are nice and white. They're all smoothed down, no more pinholes or bubbles or anything, and so we finished all of that, got all those pieces, primed, ready to go. All of the hair tips that were attached are now, smoothed down as well. So this used to be two pieces, what I'm holding up here, and it is now one piece. Just, we're gonna spray it as is, and that's her whole twin tail hair. So good for that. But we won't be working on any more of that kit itself until we start painting it. So today we're just going to focus on spoons. The painting reference, which I showed last time, I will reveal again. This is the one color scheme I've decided. I want her painted like Chun-Li. So I think this will be really fun, a little bit different than what I usually do, because it will give me a chance to work with some more metallic paints and brown hair, which I've been wanting to paint for a while. Also been wanting to paint black hair, and I went in initially thinking I wanted this kit with black hair, kind of like the reference photo, but not the case. I think she'd look better with brown hair. So I've decided to make it like this little monk girl is cosplaying Chun-Li. So it should be really fun. Something relatively easy, because she's got a pretty simple color scheme, all things considered. That'll give us lots of time to make sure that these colors match up well. So lots of fun things ahead. I'm going to put this image kind of in the top here for now. I don't think it'll be in the way of the spoons at all. So we'll kind of leave it like that for now, but I can always turn it off if it's taking up too much room. And we did actually do a couple of spoon paint jobs last time, just kind of as a test to see how, the paints were looking. Did some baselines. This was like the copper brown, which I was thinking of using for her tights as a base, but we'll see. Today we're going to be a little more in-depth with mixing the colors and seeing what works and what doesn't. Here was kind of a comparison of the metallic blue that I sprayed. Oh, I actually forgot to pull it out. I need to do that real quick. 1 second. We will be spraying that, so let me pull it. There we go. So this was the color that I'm showing on the spoon right now. This is just Mr. Color Metallic Blue. And what you're seeing here is on a white base and a black base. So you can see the color is pretty, dramatically different depending on what, your primer base is. So we're actually going to spray some gray primer today. I'm curious to see how this metallic blue will show up under the gray primer because this color, the one on the white base, is a little bit closer to the color I want for her outfit, but not quite. So I need to decide first what it looks like under a gray primer. And if I don't like that, then I'm going to have to use a white base and then probably do some clear shading to get it to the color I really want, because this is just a little bit too light for her color of her outfit. Also, I'm thinking I want to just do for fun and spray a yellow base, so we'll see how that goes. I want to try to do that on a couple of pieces. Just interested more so lately in how base layers affect the color. Because you can get a lot of different color results by putting a different base color underneath. So I think it would be fun and interesting to do that on a couple of pieces. So the way this is going to go is we're going to spray a couple of these spoons gray, and then not really going to use black on any of them because that is not really the color scheme I'm going for. That's the dehumidifier going right now. So you'll probably be hearing that a lot when I'm just talking. Anyway. Let's see. The other day you saw someone using black spoons to test colors. Could be good depending on the color that they're trying to achieve, because you can get some really rich colors and more muted colors using black. You can also use gloss black and get, metallics pretty easily, and pearls and other things. Not so much pearls because those are really layered on top of other colors, but every color has its use, so can't really say whether or not, it's a good or bad idea. Did use black on this too, so all good. Anyway, might as well just get started. Let me move these away and put my spoons over here away. Also gonna have to respray some brown. I was finding that these spoons are so cheap. I don't recommend getting cheap bulk spoons off of Amazon because these seem to be doing like a worse job than the regular ones. But I have changed my method. Before I was sanding them down with a sponge, and now I straight up and went and sanded them with 1200 grit. And they've lost a lot of the shine. You can see they're only kind of shiny right now. Here's the other side, So I think that maybe this will help. Do you have any spray booth recommendations? Not particularly. I use kind of a generic intro one from Amazon. I've actually been thinking about upgrading it. Oh, is it being weird? It might be my dehumidifier. Can anyone else confirm what's happening? I don't want it to start and go crazy. Not a Discord or an audio sugar. A bit distorted. Okay, that might be the RNN noise filter. Let's see. Don't know if I can get around that, but we will be airbrushing. Let me change it real quick. Can you guys hear me better now before we start? I might have to turn that off and on if the humidifier is going. Okay. Oh, we can hear the dehumidifier much louder, but can you hear me loud, clear? Because yeah, it looks like it picked up the dehumidifier and was trying to noise gate the dehumidifier. I might just have to mute myself when we're airbrushing then, if it's being weird. Again, it's very humid today, so Let me know if you guys are still hearing audio distortion. Okay, it's better now. Yeah, that's the filter that I have in Streamlabs done. It looked like it was interfering with the filter. So, anyway, back to spray booth recommendations. I use kind of a cheapo one off of Amazon, but I would recommend like that one as a beginner one, but I wouldn't expect to stay with it. It's about $100, $150. Comes with like some LED lights and stuff. I think that if you have certain space requirements, or you know, different, I guess, space requirements, you know, a proper setup, it might be better to build a custom one. They're generally pretty easy to do, to set up, or you can just spray in a box, you know, if you're really feeling like it. But let me see if I can pull up the one that I'm using now. Let me see. It's probably like the first one that shows up. Yeah, literally. They're all pretty comparable. Let's see. I don't know if this is the exact one that I purchased, like the exact listing, but mine looks very similar to this, where it's like, you know, you get a little turntable plate and it comes with some filter and stuff. This one has some LED lighting, but it's attached to the machine, so when you turn it on, it will turn on those lights as well. Yeah, this one looks like it's slightly different branded, but it's more or less the same. Anyway, yeah, that one's okay. Yeah, cardboard box never worked for me either. I think it's like the angle or something that you have to spray it in, or be farther away from it, or cut like a hole in the back of it so all that, you know, spray can go out of it rather than into your face. But you know, if you want something that kind of pushes that air from the airbrush out, you want something at least with a fan at the bare minimum. So maybe that will help. But I definitely look around. There's also some really nicer Japanese ones, which I definitely don't have the money for one proxy particularly. So, you know, that's an option as well. Let me make sure that this camera, yeah, we're good. All right, so the way this will go, as usual, is I'm gonna mute myself once the booth turns on, but then I'll probably stop pretty often, just to kind of tell you guys what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling, and you know, give you instructions kind of side by side of what's happening and what I'm doing. So I do have my mask on as well. But anyway, first thing first, we're going to put on some gray primer. This is Tamiya Liquid Surface Primer Gray. You can see it's not white, doesn't have the white part. It's a pretty medium gray primer, but it works with a lot of colors, and we're gonna just, you know, test it out on a couple things. I don't use gray primer pretty often. I kind of mostly stick to white primer for anime kits, but just curious. Always good to do some experiments. So let's see, you put a bit of newspaper down your desk and spray on that. Well, if you're spraying like small things, that's actually fine. You know, more often than not, you see me kind of spraying down into, you know, the paper towel there too. But if you're going to be doing more long-term work, usually I recommend people get, you know, a fan and make sure that you have, you know, that proper ventilation going. Otherwise, you know, health risks and all of that. All right. So this one I kind of did my usual. I usually prime or mix my ratios 1 to 3, so 3 parts thinner to 1 part primer or paint or whatever. But it really varies depending on where you're at. Also, no, we're good. I was thinking I needed some retarder to add into this to slow it down, but it's really wet here today, so I don't think that's needed. All right, so I think airbrush is on. Yeah, should be good. Yeah. Blowing air onto my fingers and palm, so that means we're good. I'm gonna put on my mask, and once that booth goes on, I'm gonna mute myself. So I'm thinking we'll spray maybe like 4 or 5 of these spoons gray, just to, you know, so we don't have to do a whole bunch of gray primer over and over. Might need to, you know, refill that, but whatever. Cannon, stop. I'm putting on my mask. But if you really can't hear me, let me know, guys. Alright. Alright, enough. Alright, so just went through that batch. I think that's pretty much good. We got 5 spoons sprayed, so that should be enough for whatever these tests I'm doing. Be running. Let me clean this out real quick. Just gonna give it a quick wipe. Lately I found that it's actually, when I include the leveling thinner, I'm able to put quite a bit more of the Tamiya primer in and spray it out and still get a good coat. So this one, the coat went on actually pretty thin, which is not bad at all either, and it's usable. Just something to be aware of. Let me just, there we go. Wipe that out real quick. So yeah, the primer coat still drying. As you can see, it's very humid here. You can see it's a little bit splotchy. I didn't really intend to do like a crazy, full coat of coverage here, just because I'm using it as a minor base. But I think that sanding these spoons down helped, because it looks like it's a little bit more attached to the spoon. So let's put these aside real quick. I'm going to come back to them in just a brief moment, at least one of them, because I'd like to get the metallic blue out of the way. But I guess to do that, I'm also going to spray a couple of these spoons yellow, just because I want to see how it looks with a couple of these colors. Hi, monkey. Very cool color scheme. Thank you. Let me make it bigger just briefly for one moment. Very cool. Yeah, Chun-Li looking awesome here. Also, little monk looking cute. I think this will be a good, you know, fun color scheme to paint. Very recognizable and still relatively simple. I mean, this kit isn't too fancy, so there's not too much we need to do here. You can see that humidifier just turned off and then right back on again. Because again, it's pretty crazy. Crazy humid today. Hopefully, well, we'll see how that affects the paint. Alright, so I'm going to be spraying a couple of these spoons yellow as well, just because I'm curious what the browns and stuff will look like with a yellow base instead. You can also use red as a base. That's a really nice one for browns, so that may be an option we can do as well. This paint is pretty much thinned out at this point. I'm really using the last remnants of the yellow in this Guy Notes bottle, so I don't think I even needed to put that much thinner into the cup. Maybe spraying out pretty thin, but we'll see. Let me do a brief test. Oh yeah, that's gonna see what it looks like on this before I turn on the airbrush. Oh yeah, that sprayed pretty nice. Alright, going back on just for a brief moment. Turning off the compressor. Again, not really going to do too many of these. I also thinned this yellow a bit too much because again, there's really not any paint left in that bottle. I just keep thinning it and trying to run through as much as I can. So the paint coat here is really thin. Also, you know, at this point the pigments are so used up that adding more thinner actually did more harm than good, because you can kind of see here on the end it's starting to ball up. That's pretty typical. If one, it's too humid, but also, you know, if you thin your paint too much. Also, these spoons aren't helping, so at this point I can't tell what's the issue. Dumb question. Does it make any difference if you spray with the cap on the paint cup? Never bothered putting mine on. No, I don't really think it's that much of a difference. I found that my spray is a little bit more even when I have the cap on, but to be honest, I lost this cap for maybe like it must have been more than a year, maybe 2 or 3 years, and I just used it, you know, as it is like this, and it didn't really do anything to change the spray flow or anything like that. So I would say the cup isn't totally, you know, needed. My other airbrushes don't even really come with a very, you know, durable, usable cup. It's like this flimsy plastic thing, so definitely not necessary. It does kind of help a little, I find, for some things, but not enough that you'd need to like have it on all the time. Let's see. Have you ever gotten your paint to come out grainy because it was over thin? Yeah, right now. It came out a little bit splotchy on this end, but it's only in certain areas, and so I'm thinking this is more of a spoon problem, because again, I was using the 1200 grit and I went over it, and when I didn't have it sanded down, I had this problem before, so this is more of a, I guess, an issue with the spoon itself. But I think it really depends on your paint brand as well. So if you're using lacquer paint, your paint's the particles are so small, you know, the type of solution it's in, the lacquer thinner, it just really makes things atomize and spray really finely and really nicely. I haven't had quite as smooth of an experience with paints like acrylics. It's just my personal preference, but I did notice when I used them, their texture is a little bit grainier compared to spraying an enamel or spraying a lacquer paint. So, you know, it could be your paint brand, it could be the way you're thinning it, it could be your temperature conditions. There's a lot of ways and reasons that paint can go wrong when it comes out of your airbrush. Could be your model isn't super smooth. That's another thing that happens sometimes if you have a really rough paint job. You could just be, or not paint job, sorry, rough primer job. You know, if you spray paint on that, it's not going to automatically smooth everything down. You're going to end up with a really rough prime job as well, or a paint job on your prime. Let's see. Late to the party, can I ask what ratio of thinner to paint you're using? Yeah, of course. I usually use a 1 to 3 to start with. So 1 dropper, 1 part paint to 3 parts thinner. I kind of mix my thinners, so I use some hardware store stuff. I use the Mr. Color leveling thinner, but I don't do like 1 to 3 leveling thinner because I find that it sprays super wet and takes a lot longer to dry then. So really my ratio may not work for you. Sometimes I've altered it to make it, you know, 1 to 2.5. I don't really do 1 to 2, so it's usually 2.5 to 3-ish, so not sure. Let's see. Super jealous of how smooth your paints are, mostly spray acrylic, and they can be super grainy. Yeah, that was one of the main reasons that I switched over to lacquer paints eventually, is I was just unsatisfied with the finish that I was getting from acrylic. And that's not really the fault of the airbrush, it's not really the fault of my thinner, it's just the way that acrylic sprays on, you know, just how it is. But when we say acrylic, we're meaning water-soluble acrylic paints, because technically these are still acrylic paints, but they're in lacquer solvent. And so, for whatever reason, the connotation and the terminology of these kind of overlaps, but we're almost always spraying acrylic paint, but it depends on the thinner that you're using it in. And so what we're talking about with that graininess is the water-soluble acrylic paint. Let's see, we're using Mr. Hobby lacquer, but we're spraying on wood. The graininess looks weird. Well, if you're spraying on wood, that could be something else as well. Was your wood treated or untreated? Was it sanded down all the way? All of those are things that can affect the look of the primer and look of the paint, especially when it comes to wood, because wood tends to absorb paint. And so what happens is you could be spraying it and you could be getting that grainy finish if it's not fully drying on it, etc. There's kind of a lot of things that could be happening to it. Let's see, could be too low PSI. 20 PSI, that would be about right. I might drop it a little bit and go closer to like 15. Sometimes spraying too high could also cause, that, but more often than not, that just causes runniness, not so much the graininess. Or could be the angle that you're spraying at as well. I do find that if you're spraying like a flat surface at a certain angle, what happens is if you're spraying it, like straight on, you get the spray good here, but then it kind of like settles and goes back and forth, and so you might get some fuzziness up here and up here. So what I generally do is try to spray it kind of an angle and work my way down or up, and that way you don't get quite as much. But I find that bases can have that problem with the graininess, and a lot of that comes down to angle. Let's see. Do you find that Gaia paints are thicker or thinner than Mr. Hobby lacquers? I find them comparable, actually. I think that the Mr. Hobby colors don't thin quite as well with generic brand paint, hardware store lacquer or just lacquer in general. They're a little bit pickier and they like to have the Mr. Color thinner with them. I found that I gotten better results by including a hobby brand thinner. Whereas Gaia Notes also does pretty good with the leveling thinner, but I have many years been able to just spray plain thinner with it. Yeah, so just kind of FYI. I think a lot of that's pretty brand dependent. In general, a lot of brands will do a lot better with their respective thinners, but as you all know, that can get kind of expensive. So I generally try to not use a lot of it or mix it kind of half and half, so conserve some of it. But that's really like kind of up to you what you prefer to do. Okay, so I've switched out my airbrush for now, and so this is my master airbrush. It's got a 0.5 millimeter nozzle. I'm going to spray some metallics through it, so the Mr. Metallic Blue, just because it's easier to spray metallics through a larger nozzle and a larger needle airbrush. Yeah, no problem, Fries. I hope that it works out for you. Excuse me, what you can also do if you're getting fuzzies is kind of go over it afterwards with a really high grit sandpaper, and that will buff out some of those issues, especially when it comes to like bases and wood. Usually what I'll do is I'll give it a pass with some polishing compound, or you know, work my way up in the higher grit territory until I get it completely smoothed out, and that tends to help a lot. Alright, so we're going to be thinning some of this metallic blue. Probably don't need that much. Let me take this out. I'm only going to use about half of it, but then again, my 0.5 runs through pink really quick, so we'll see. Let me shake this real quick. And we're only going to try this on the gray and maybe another white again. I'd like to get another white spoon prepped because I want to see how clear paint also affects the color of this. So we'll maybe do like 2 to 3 of these spoons in this metallic blue color. This one's kind of one of the most important colors to me, so I want to make sure that I get it right, or at least like see the difference for some of it. Again, not going to do a gloss black base this time. I didn't really like the deep color that it gave me. It's a beautiful color. I don't think it fits Chun Li very well, and not really what I'm looking for here. So, let's see. Camera got weird again. Let's get it to focus. Come on, camera. There we go. So yeah, this is what it looks like in the cup, the metallic. You can see it's a very vibrant blue. It's not really cyan. Cyan blue looks a little bit different than this, but in any case, it's good. And you can kind of see what I'm meaning here. Let's see if we'll zoom in again. Camera really not looking okay. So you can kind of see what I mean here by these little, like, dots. That is because this Mr. Color stuff doesn't really like the generic hardware lacquer store stuff. So these are like little bits of pigment that clumped up. You'll probably get much better results if you go all like hobby brand thinner, but we're just testing stuff out at this point, so I'm not too concerned about any of that, and it'll still spray through, so not too big of a deal. Let me just make sure this is spraying. Yep, we're good. Alright. So yeah, kind of clumped up on the sides here, you can see. Running out of places to put these. Okay, I'm gonna turn this on. And we're going to be, have to turn off, we're going to be spraying again at 15 to 20 psi. That's what we're doing for most of these spoons. It's very much like a speed and a pressure that most garage kits seem to be built at. Otherwise you might end up with some sputtering or just like it going on too quickly. So 15 to 20 is your safe zone. again. As you can see, very different colors. Basically entered green at some point before we went fully like kind of greenish teal. Let's see if I can get again this to focus. I really don't know why it's so slow today. I still need to clean my airbrush out too, so maybe it's this in the back. For whatever reason, it likes to focus on paper towels. There we go. It just takes a while. So that's a nice color. It's a very like nice kind of green toned blue in this, as opposed to this color, which is on a gray base. I actually really like this color, just kind of in general, but very different tonal difference here. You can see that this one's a lot shinier, probably just because it hasn't fully dried yet. So we'll see kind of how it goes. Also, these are on a matte base, and so they probably won't be quite as shiny as if, you know, when we're spraying later on and have a proper gloss finish on them. Let me clean out this brush real quick, and then we will compare all three of these spoons. Oh, I know, dang it. I also said I was going to spray a white one. Let me see if I have any paint left. A little bit. Okay, let me spray this real quick. I'm not going to turn my roof on. Just gonna get it out of the way. Yeah, so that's one thing you can really do. Hopefully you guys can hear me over my airbrush. That's one thing you can do that airbrushing is great at, and I think a little better than hand painting, is layering color like that, because the results are immediate. You're seeing literal color mixing happening as you're spraying, you know, on your airbrush. With your airbrush, I should say. Turn this up a little bit. This master brush is pretty crappy, so it sprays at a pretty low PSI naturally. There we go. Okay. Alright. So yeah, so with an airbrush you can do, you know, literal color mixing in real time, or amazing gradients, that type of thing. Oh, my sound also went off. There we go. Sorry if there was no music, guys. Just realized, I was like, why can't I hear anything? It's because it just shut off in my Bluetooth. But yeah. Anyway, let me clean this out, and then we will compare the colors real quick. Just, you can see it's pretty nasty inside. Maybe it wants to focus. Oh my goodness. This brush is being, camera's being crazy today. Why is this happening? Okay. I'm sure it will resolve itself, so I'm not too concerned. Okay, let's get some of this in here. We got a lot to cover, so gotta keep it moving. Yeah, wow, it was these Q-tips in the back. So yeah, that's something really fun you can do if you know, are interested in mixing colors or seeing what different combinations you can make. You can put red on the bottom, you can use yellow, all sorts of different colors you can get from one bottled color. So don't think that you need to stick to, you know, a gray primer or a black primer to get all of the results. We're not going to be going back to this airbrush, I think, so I just want to get it nice and clean now. We're going to switch back to the Iwata for most of this spraying. Just what happens when you're mixing spoons and testing things. It takes a while. But all the prep is good, because then, you know, once you have your color mixture, you just get to it with your model. So again, this is just part of the prep process, making sure that everything is good to go. Last thing you want to do is spend all that time on your kit and then not do any color research and just spray directly onto it and end up with a kit or a color you're unhappy with. Then you gotta strip the whole thing and start all over. It's much easier to do the prep beforehand. which is why everybody recommends, you know, painting on these spoons or a box or something, you know, to test it all out. Alright, so that's pretty much done at this point. Let me bring these spoons over. Let's see, do you ever clean out the pipette droppers? Do you use them like disposable items? I do treat my pipettes as mostly usable until they give out. This is a pretty cheapo brand that you just get off Amazon. And so a lot of times, like, I can use them a couple of times, but then there's a little slit here that just breaks. And so then, you know, all the paint kind of falls out. So I try to clean them, or I try to keep them, like, by color. And so when we're color mixing, I'll keep, like, the blue one and use it for only blue. Gray one goes with gray, and then a lot of times I need to use them multiple times, so it ends up working out before they break. I do also have glass ones, and so I know some people swear by or recommend using glass droppers because they are reusable, but I'm not a huge fan because it is kind of more of a pain to clean them. I'm just going to be honest here. Maybe it's like disposable culture, but for the type of ratios and paint mixing that I do, I consume quite a bit of these spoons, or pipettes. You can see I have a whole thing of them right here. They are cheap enough and I don't feel too bad about using them because I do use them until they break, so not that bad, at least in my mind. But in general, we should be trying to reduce our waste as much as possible. You know, that's just good practice because you don't have to buy as much. Your glass ones are just a hassle to clean. Yeah, they're the worst. And like, you know, you can put a whole bunch of thinner in them and clean them out, but then they get stained, and I feel like I've gotten the wrong color sometimes because you didn't clean it out all the way. And so for the amount that I paint, I've just found that disposable is a lot easier for me. If you're not painting kits that often, or if you're using strict mixes, you can just, you know, use the reusable ones maybe, because then you're only dropping from one thing. But if you're going to be using a lot of colors, mixing a lot of colors, it may be better to go with the disposable. Alright, let's compare before I just keep ranting. So this is the white base, plain white. Let's make sure that it all looks good. Just put the disposable in the recycling and hope it counts. Yeah, as long as they're not fully contaminated, so make sure you clean them out a little bit, because otherwise if they've got a bunch of lacquer thinner in them and lacquer paint, it might not be better in the long run to put them in recycling as opposed to just throwing them in the trash, because it is toxic. You know, our paints are not non-toxic unless you're working with acrylic. It might be a little different if you're doing that, so just be conscious. Okay, so this is white, or is this gray? No, this is white. This is gray, so not too much of a difference here, but you can see there's a little bit of a tonal difference. This one is a little bit more muted, I think. Let me look at it under the light. Yeah, a little bit more muted. The color's a bit darker, and just less bright, but you can still tell that it's metallic blue. Oh, okay, you wash them out. You should be good then, yeah, hopefully. Depends on your local recycling kit. This is the black, so very, very big difference here between white, gray, and black. As you can see, this is definitely not what I want to go with Chun-Li. I'll have to look at my phone, but I'm liking the look of this one, but we'll see. And this is yellow, so a little bit close to black, but much brighter, and more green toned for sure. So this is more of a teal color as opposed to, you know, the others, which are just plain blue. But this is all with one bottle, so as you can see, the difference between a lot of these is pretty dramatic. And on top of that, if you're going to be using clear colors, you can, you know, tint them or color them another way. So just, you know, fun stuff, fun tests. Let me actually pull my phone out and see what I like best when I'm going to compare this color scheme. Let's see. Turn up my... Her outfit is really bright blue, like almost sapphire. It almost looks like there's a tiny bit of hint of purple in it. Let's see. So right now I just have it on my phone and I'm kind of looking at it and just seeing which color I think represents it. Definitely not these two. The yellow was just like for fun to see what it looks like. Yeah, her outfit is so bright. That's the thing. I think what I'll need to do is I might need to go in with a fluorescent blue and see how that looks. But I like it on a white base. I think that the white base will work really well. Let me pull out my fluorescent blue, and then we can compare, because I did make an extra white one. So yeah, let's do that next. Just kind of curious how that will look. Let me put these over here, and let me pull out that fluorescent blue. So I have clear blue and fluorescent blue, and so fluorescent blue is the more brighter of the two. You can see the paint's kind of separated here, so I'm going to have to shake it up really nice. This is a really, really bright blue compared to the regular clear blue. See? This is fluorescent, and this is the regular clear blue. So quite a dramatic difference there. Let me shake this up and see. And this is the gray one. I'm going to spray half of that gray one and see how that goes. The fluorescent colors, particularly from Gaia Notes, are very strong pigmented colors. I find that they can kind of stain stuff pretty easily. They also linger in your airbrush, and so the whole point of them is that they glow under UV light. So you can see here, this is the UV light, and that's with it. Let me see if I can turn off my light, and you can see that's without light. So they're meant to glow under fluo light. You can see there's a paint drop there. That's actually fluo green that I have stuck on it. And so usually when you clean these out, so if you have your airbrush and then you put your light in there, you'll see like the remnants of it. So we'll try doing that after we work with this paint, and it'll show you what you have or have not cleaned. Yeah, you can see the green right here. So they're a fun paint. They're not a must-have by any means, but they give you a cool effect, and they do work as like a very bright additive onto certain colors. So I keep a few of these around. Got fluo, blue, and I think green, red for sure, and yellow. So most of the basic ones. I don't use them too often. A lot of times I maybe add like a drop or two here or there, but I don't really go, and do a full coat on them. So anyway, we'll spray it and then see how it looks, and if it glows under the UV as well. Sometimes you have to add kind of a thicker coat of these to get the fluo effect, but it's also very easy to see. So they go on pretty clear. They're almost similar to clear paints. They thin out really well, but when they're in the cup, they're very bright once the UV light is on. So you can see it's shining, shines. It's pretty fun. Fun stuff. Alright, I'm going to spray these just really thinly, I think. Not going to do too much. Yeah, I might, actually. I might do some. We'll see. And I don't think I'll need to spray a regular one. Yeah, let's just have some fun. I'm going to mute myself real quick again, guys. Alright, pretty fun, easy to use. Let me spray this out real quick. This has thinned down pretty nice, so there shouldn't be that much left in the cup. But oh yeah, there's like a little ring. It's always fun. Let me grab a tip. So yeah, they do go on pretty clear. As you can see, there's not really any, huge color change that happened in terms of like shifting the color. But I did notice I was comparing the white regular primed one, or regular sprayed one, with the fluo one, and it was definitely much brighter. So here's kind of the difference between the whites. So this is white with blue fluo, and this is just plain white. Also keep in mind this is still pretty moist and wet, so it's going to be a little bit shinier. Probably can't tell that much of a difference. Oh, at that angle, a little bit. So you can see this one is a little bit brighter. I'll have to compare it to my phone. But it's blue. It's not exactly the color I wanted for Chun-Li, so we'll see. This one is kind of more of a difference here. This is the gray one, so I did half and half. You can see the blue here is a little bit stronger. Let me put the UV light on it. Oh yeah, a little bit. Let's turn this off. You can see. Yeah. So you can see exactly where I sprayed and where I didn't spray. Some of it went on pretty thick, others did not. Let's see. This is the fluo ones on the left, so just interesting. Really cool option for Gundams too is to like include fluo paints, because then you really can see them under a different light and it's super cool. But okay, let me compare this to Chun. A little bit. It's a step in the right direction, but it's not exactly the color I want. I think I need to include a little bit of purple on top of this to get it where I want it. So I'm gonna need to get some clear purple out. And I don't think I need to use gray spoon. I think going on white is probably okay with this. So I'm going to throw away that gray spoon. Let me bring out the clear purple or the primary color violet. Violet's going to give you a much more intense color. Let me get my clear purple out. And I might just do both, honestly, to see how they look. This is the whole part of color mixing. Because what we're looking for here is more of like a stronger sapphire blue. And you can see that this color, I don't know, to me it looks like it has a little bit more purple in it. This is very much like, it's getting there, but I think this is a little bit too, I don't know the word for it. Like, I'm not sure what this exact shade of blue is, but it's not what I want. Let me get some more of fluo. Yeah, it's got a hint of purple in it. I'm not sure what exact color that is, but when you start telling colors apart a little bit more, you can start to see when blue kind of edges into purple territory. I know that sounds very vague and not helpful at all, but it's very easy to mistake blue as like just the color blue. But blue actually has quite a bit of different like color combinations and ways that the color can kind of trend. So yeah, exactly. So I think adding a clear purple might help that out. I'm just going to use a little bit for now and see how that goes. I also do have the primary color violet, which we did use before, I think. Let's see. See, it's got some marks on it. I've been not treating it well. But that one, the primary color violet, is a way more intense shade of purple. And it might be too much for this kit. But the clear purple is like really thin. So usually I have to kind of add a lot of it to get an effect on it. But we'll try it first. So I'm actually going to do a whole dropper full. Because it is just this color, we can kind of, I usually just dump it back in the bottle. Even though it's thin, it's not great to do that, but let's see. Color theory is one of those things you learn with time and then can never explain, you just suddenly know. Yeah, that's literally it. Crafty. I'm just like, I could tell you, but it's hard to explain. It's like vague, and then the colors you're seeing on this computer through my screen are different than what I'm seeing in real life a little bit, so it's just hard. Hi, Mr. Frike, how are you doing tonight? We are just messing around with color, having a grand old time. We have been working kind of on Chun-Li's metallics, so right now we're adjusting these colors a little bit with some purple, because I'm noticing I'm not happy with the way that this paint is spraying out. It's a little bit too blue. And I think purple might help, but it's just one of those things you gotta mess around with. Someone introduced you to TFO4. Oh boy. Yeah, how was that for all of you guys? Did you get your holy grail and all you wanted and more? Like you can and hopefully they sorted that order out. Stressful and expensive. Yeah, that sounds about right. That's pretty much every festival experience that I've had too. It's very, very expensive. I'm so poor. Sounds like a lot of you guys got some pretty good hauls then. That's awesome. Oh no. Oh boy. Well, share what you got, or maybe your favorite one that you got. I'm gonna spray this purple real quick, but then I'm expecting some links to click once I'm done spraying. So I'm gonna shut this off. Alright, gonna let that sit for a little bit. Again, not adding too thick of a coat. That was pretty thin, all things considered. Not really too much of a change either, but I'm gonna compare it to the photo. Let's see. Oh, a lot of your guys' first experience with TFO. That's good. I've heard that it's a lot better now than in the past. And yes, it is very much a fate fest. So part of the reason why I don't buy anything from TFO is the majority of the kits on there from Fate Grand Order, or a couple other minor series, but I'm not really that into that series in terms of like personal kits that I would own. So a lot of times I just kind of skip out on it. Can't log into their website. I think she shared some stuff in Discord. I will click it. Anyway. Oh, that one's a cutie. I remember seeing that one on Twitter. That one's actually really sweet. Very complicated. Well, in terms of parts, I guess. The color scheme is relatively simpler, but all those cats are super cute. You skip me, she does stuff. Excuse me about the second this time. Yeah, that's the way it goes, right? Is you end up just buying. Even if you say you're gonna have like one thing of one character, that's never really the case. That one is really cute though. Nice. Let's see. Check this one out. Oh, that one's cute too. I'm seeing a theme here, and the theme is cat. Am I correct? In this, that one is really cute too. I like all the little extra cat. It's fun. Sorry, just trying to like orient myself. It's getting a little bit crowded here. Got a bunch of random spoons. We haven't really done that much in all honesty. We're just working with this metallic blue. If I can get it nailed down, that'd be great. Let's see. Well, that's a big one. Oh, nice! So, I have a friend that actually told me about this cat, or a similar one. Um, but that one's very cute. I heard it's from a really cute manga, and there were a couple of those variations of that cat apparently. But that one looks like a really fun and easy build, so it'd be a great one to try out some paints and stuff on. Just for reference, what I'm doing now, guys, is I'm putting some primary color violet in this bottle. Really not, or in this dropper, I guess. Not going to use too much here. A little goes a really long way with this, and also I'm starting to run low, so I'm getting a little nervous here. It's very hard to find this color these days, so if anyone's got a link to primary color violet, hit me up. Let's see, I don't know anything about FGO. Mr. Freaking. Totally fine. That's, part of it too is buying the sculpt as well. I have definitely done that. I've bought characters, I don't know who they are, but I like the sculpt. Let's see, who is this one? Oh yeah, I also have a friend that bought this kit. I like this character. I'm not familiar with her, but I do like her design a lot. I think she's got a lot of cute elements that I'm into, and so congrats. Congrats everybody. Those are all some really nice kits. Lots of fun things. Okay, I'm gonna put this in here. This will go on pretty thin as well. Really don't need a lot of this primary color, and I'm gonna spray it on this black too, because I got a bunch of these extra black spoons. Why not? Why not use them? Okay. We'll see. Primary color violet. See how this goes on. Alright, let's see. That went on super intense in terms of the color compared to the clear purple. Let me set this aside real quick and clean out this airbrush. Okay, starting to accumulate a pile of these little droppers over here. Let's spray this into my little thingy. Okay, let me see. Didn't get this one to crack you up. Oh no, Godzilla. The classic kit. Don't discount Godzilla. They paved the way for all the rest of these anime women. Those are the classic kaiju kits. The original garage kits. Let's see. Still keeping your fingers crossed for another Wonder Festival with online ordering. I hope they jump to online instead of street cancellation. Oh my god, if they put online Wonder Festival, I'm done with. My wallet's done with. My savings is done with. I've basically discounted the fact that it's gonna happen, and assumed that just because I'd be very surprised if they made it online. But oh my gosh, you guys can imagine. Oh, that'd be great. The eyes that get you. Yeah, the eyes are super funny. They're kind of dirt, in the wrong direction, but they're fun. Godzilla, man. Classic. Alright. So, let's see. So, you can see here, the color changed again. It's more of a deeper, richer blue now, I would say, as opposed to this kind of lighter blue. So I left this portion uncovered, or at least unpainted, and so this is more of the original color here. You can see down here it's much more of a deeper blue, and this is the black, so really huge difference here. This used to be the black without the purple, and this is with the purple on it. So again, like just adding one color that's kind of clear on it really changes it entirely. All of these colors are super nice. They're not what I'm looking for, but it's good reference for me to like think about in the future. This is why I spray a lot of spoons, is because then I end up hoarding these colors so I have a reference. So I'm gonna have to like write that blue down later. Here's the green one, the kind of yellow one compared to the new blue one. Mostly this is literally just me messing around with spoons tonight, guys. So if you're looking for quality paint, this is not the topic. But I like this one. Let me see how it looks on Chun though. That's pretty good. I think what I might need to do here is use the clear purple as a shading color rather than an all over color, and that way you'll get a really dramatic difference between the two. Unfortunately I didn't leave any spoons, just plain blue. This color is a little bit dark for her outfit, but it is a really nice blue in general, and I think it would work well as a shading color. So let me get out a piece of paper. I'm going to start taking some notes on these. That's usually what I do as a reference, so I know how to paint it later. I'm sorry. One thing to look out for if you guys do in the future is, let's see, things time out in people's carts after 30 or 60 minutes, so you refresh on this time. Yeah, I've heard that, but that is good refresher for people who are looking to buy kits. I think it will probably depend. Is it dependent on what the sculptor chooses? Can they choose the time interval? Because I'm sure those more popular sculptors are choosing the shorter time interval to make sure their stuff, sells out. I'm going to be writing some brief notes real quick just on what I did, so I'm always here to talk, but I need to start taking notes. We're getting a lot of different colors here, as you can see. This is just good practice in general. So if you're going to be mixing a lot of colors, if you're going to be spraying things that don't come out of the bottle, I highly, highly recommend you take notes on what you're spraying in terms of like droppers and clear coats you're putting on. Because that way, if for whatever reason you need to mix more of a certain color, or if someone, asks you to build the same kit, you have a reference. So, just good notice. You're not sure most popular kits were just 30-minute ones. Yeah, that makes sense, Mr. Fruge. Good to know. Let's see. Cute. Does this one say something about the time interval? Maybe. That one's a cutie too. Oh, you got her too. Yeah, why not, right? Just use all your dollars. Stimulate Japanese artist economy. Okay, so what do? We get a white base, and then Mr. Color, metallic blue. I'm going to put optional fluo, because I don't think that the fluo made too much of a difference when I compared both of those things together. Blue, and then 4 shade. In my own time, I think what I'm going to do is probably... Oh, now I can really see the difference between the two. Let me compare this again. I had to dry a little bit. Oh yeah, I think that will work well. I think doing a base and then shading with the clear purple, or not clear purple, primary purple will really help set that apart. And we could even do a third color to deepen that shade even more. Some sort of mixture of clear black and blue. I probably need to spray these with some top coat as well. because right now they're still pretty dull, but once you get the top coat on, the glossy top coat, it really changes the look how metallic ends up, which I don't know if we can do tonight just because the humidity is so high. You can try it on a black spoon. I'll try it on this one just to see how it looks, but it might fog up. That's what I'm concerned about. So I'm going to set these two to the side right now until further notice. This one I'm pretty happy with. I might need another adjustment here or there, but there's a really nice clear differentiation between the two. And since this will be a metallic color, we don't need to do too much intense shading because those metallics are already going to give it some more dimension, but it's always good and helpful to do, multiple things to a piece. Let's see, this one's awesome, we did get it, the water cuts, let's see. Oh man, the famed Gar, yeah. She is a very popular cutie that sold out pretty quickly from what I remember. And right now, I think that one, yeah, that kit right now is up on auction, this pre-painted Gar. So the one that you're literally looking at in the photos right now is up on Yahoo auction. And I think right now she's over $1,600 US, so 160,000 yen is her current price. Last time I checked, I think it was this afternoon. Just kind of curious to see how this one's going. And I think that that auction ends pretty soon. So I'm curious to see how quick she can go up and how much she'll go up. Because I know a lot of people love Gar. Yeah, the unpainted ones were really, I think they were in like the 40,000 yen category in terms of sales, but you can make a lot of money if you're a very talented painter selling these finished kits. But this one's kind of an oddball because this is used like as the promo, and I think Tsukima painted this one. Tsukima or some other really famous painter did this one. Yeah, Tsukima painted it in that tweet, it says it. So Tsukima Sangyo, YouTube artist, he does a lot of finished HoloLive kits and stuff these days. Yep, that's the one. Yeah, so that's the same kit, but the painted one is up on auction right now. So if you're interested in spending a lot of money, it might be a good experience. You'll end up with a one of a kind, but you gotta shell out your kidney. Tsukima has improved so much in the past year or so. It's been absolutely incredible. I remember when they just started out, and I watched their first 1 or 2 videos, and now it's crazy. They're painting professionally for people, so and more. They're just so popular now. So really interesting. All right, what I'm gonna do real quick is just spray this spoon. You can see it's pretty dulled. I don't know if it will fog up, probably, but I just want to see how my clear gloss will look on it. So I'm not really expecting anything else for this spoon. I'm gonna turn off the mic real quick. Alright, no biggie here. Just want to see how this fogs up, if so. This is a custom mix of gloss, top coat gloss, that I have in a bottle here. So I just kind of, when I feel like using it, I need to gloss a piece and keep it around. But we'll set that to the side. If it doesn't gloss up or fog up, then I'm going to spray the one that we just did, so I can see what it looks like in a metallic condition, because this outfit will be gloss in those pieces. I want her really shiny, so that will be the deciding factor. Unrelated, but you inspired me to finally try magnet pinning, and it's amazing. Great, I'm glad it's working out for you. It's fun, right? It takes a little bit longer, but once you get those pieces, they just snap together forever, and it's so satisfying. So glad it's working out for you. It's always fun. This is very beautiful. I'm just looking at the spoon. This is what we mean by designer spoons. It's like a, you know, a shiny car color. So satisfying. Yeah, and it's great that you can like put the kit together as is, you know, that you don't need to worry about, you know, if you're gonna bend your wire or if your wire's gonna fall out or whatever. It's just snap and go. Very great for transport too. If you need to like move around the house or whatever, or ship it to someone else. It's good. Okay, just cleaning this again real quick. Something that happens a lot here. And what should we do now? There were a couple of other colors I wanted to get sprayed. Just as base coats. Again, so I have a guideline. One of them didn't quite go on last time, right? Correctly last time. The mahogany, for whatever reason, like it fogged up and it didn't sit on my spoon smoothly. And I think a lot of that had to do with the spoon itself. So I do need to spray another base spoon with this color. I think that paint's not fogging up either, so beautiful. It's a little bit, but oh wait, there it goes. It's just taking a while. I think it might fog up. Okay, I'll leave it aside for now. So let's see, what should we do next? Let me make this image larger. Blues we're working on. Was gonna. Oops. Blues, we're getting there. Getting pretty close to how I want it, but maybe not quite yet. Almost though. But I will set it aside for now. So no more blues. I don't quite feel like working on her tights color. So let's try to do some hair. What I'm going to do is start out with that hair base tone, which is that really kind of lightish one. But I need to spray mahogany, and I'm going to spray some cocoa brown. Our friend Cocoa Brown returns again, just to see what those look like again out of the bottle. And that way we can go from there and kind of adjust and mix our colors. So we'll spray those two browns, and then may need to tint them with another color or you know, add some white, etc. We'll see. Let me put away my violet. Shoot, I almost forgot to do that. I don't want to waste my primary color violet. Okay. Let's go here. Alright, browns, which are not quite as fun as spraying metallic blue, but still needs to happen. We can get some really cool gradient shading happening with this brown too, so that should be good. Brown hair seems like it would be a boring thing, but you can actually get some really nice tonal shifts and add in slight gradients, and you know, if you add in a little hint of red or something, it'll change the look completely. So there's lots of things we can do. It doesn't have to be, you know, strict by the colors. Chun-Li. Fun to mess around as well, especially since this is a for fun kit. Let me get a drink of water real quick. Alright, so I'm going to start out with the cocoa brown just because I like spraying it and mixing it. I think we had an original, some other spoon that's sitting in my spoon storage that had this color, but in any case, I've got enough of it, so we'll spray it again. Just shaking it really well. This brown one tends to coagulate at the bottom. It's got some different mixtures happening in it, so let's see. Would you ever consider using green to shape black hair? My reference image surprisingly had green in it. Yeah, I would definitely consider it. I'm not sure how it would work out. You know, a lot of times I don't say anything is like absolute until I spray it and then see. But I have sprayed green over like blonde hair, and it's given it a nice cooler tone. More definitely a green tone, but you know, green can be used for sure, especially because I have found that some blacks have more of a hint of red in it. It's very hard to find like a true black. There are certainly brands that make it and are good at it, but a lot of times you need like a primer that is also black under it. And so sometimes when I'm like mixing black, or adding black into something, it has a slight red tone. So I would think that the green would kind of null that out and make it more brown. Could be worth a shot. Yeah, always worth it to try out new things. Can always add, once we get some of these brown painted, can use green on it and see how that would look too. This is very crispy cocoa brown. Oh, stuck. There we go. Try to keep those lids on because it's good to keep everything dry, or wet, I guess. I'm also going to mix this with toothpick. Again, I found that some of these Gaia Notes paints, they're pretty thick, and it takes a little bit to get all of the mixture all wound up. Yeah, no worries, Fries. It's more like that color theory stuff again, so it'll like vary across brand and what products you're working with, etc. Hard to explain. Alright, I'm going to use maybe 3/4 of this. I don't really think we need a lot at all. But we're going to do 1 or 2 white spoons and then a yellow one and maybe a gray one too. We got a lot of gray we need to use up, so we'll see how it goes. Very crispy again. See some flakes. Alright, so cocoa brown, pretty nice medium shade of brown. Literally looks like hot cocoa out of the bottle. So like a very muted, kind of softer, chocolatey brown. Okay, so we'll get a few of these spoons cocoa. It might be a little bit too dull for what I'm looking for, but we'll see. Alright, pretty straightforward since we're just literally spraying it out of the bottle. Let me dump this back into its cup. And then we'll look at it real quick, and then we're going to switch right over to that mahogany and see the same thing. On first observation, the white, pretty much as I expected, it looks like the reference. The yellow is surprisingly richer. It's more of a rich brown, I would say, more chocolatey, I guess, less muted. And then the gray, as typical of kind of adding a gray primer, the color is still pretty rich, but a bit more muted. So part of, why we tell people to use white primer instead of gray primer is because you do end up with those slightly more muted colors. If that's really, something that you do like and a look you're trying to achieve, then not really a big deal. But all of your colors will look a little bit duller under that gray. Just to this out. And I guess we'll look at the spoons real quick and then switch to mahogany. Still gotta let them dry. can see you're getting a nice splotch here of paint. I do tend to kind of spray down. It's better if you try to spray directly into your booth. So that way you minimize, you know, the fuzzies and the offshoot of the particles coming off. But it's hard to do, especially in front of the camera. Because you guys, I want to try to like get it so you can see the spoon and not have it just focus on my hand or the airbrush. So, okay, let me look real quick. I'm gonna set this cocoa brown up on the top of my airbrush. So this is white. You know, I've oversprayed a couple areas, so you can see some slightly darker patches here. It's just what happens when you kind of overspray reds or browns, so this kind of tends to happen. This is with a yellow base, so much like richer color. It's a little bit brighter in person, a little bit darker brown. Only slightly though. I don't think that there'd be like a huge difference, you know, if you were wanting to paint this something. And this is gray, so again, very slight differences between all of them. I'm sure that you guys can see the difference on the camera because I can even see it on here. Comparing the gray to the white, let's put these two together. So comparing gray to white, this is white, this is gray. So very clear difference here. This is with the yellow, so a little harder to tell. This is white, this is yellow. At this angle, yeah, I think it really depends on the lighting. Here's a little bit more of a view. So white, gray, or that was yellow. White, yellow, and this is gray. So just a few differences. I'm gonna set them on the side here, and now we're gonna mix up some mahogany. And then I'm gonna compare all of to Chun-Li and see what the heck needs to happen. If I need to mix my own brown, I prefer not to have to do that, but always willing to. You can also tone or color tint some of these with some clear brown. I might actually do that after we spray all of these, just so we can see what the clear brown looks like on them as well. And we're talking about GX color, GX clear color, clear brown. I had to look at it. I like kind of thought in my head, then it went out. This one is more of a darker brown for sure compared to some of the other clear browns that I've worked with. Definitely not orange at all in it. More like on the dull black color scheme. So this, yeah, it's always that little paper towel in the back that it wants to focus on. Alright, so this is mahogany. It's already a much deeper color than the cocoa brown. You can compare the two once I spray this out. And also I can compare the cups. So, much more different. Left is cocoa brown, the right is mahogany. Let's see if I can get a better view. So, just curious again how this one sprays out. Last time I thought I was in love with this color, but then it dried really weird on my spoon, so not sure. Have to run another test on it. But it did look closer to what I wanted in terms of my hair color, so we'll just have to see. Alright, I'm gonna turn this on again. Alright, let's give that just a minute or two to sit. Already much darker, richer color than the cocoa brown. Pour this out, bring it out, get my glove on, clean up this brush again. Let's see, where did I put it though? Oh, there it is. I'm not sure if this has been a fully productive night, but it has been fun spraying spoons. In other words, like, I'm enjoying the colors that come out, but I'm not like 100% sure if these are locked in as the ones I want. I think I need to do a little bit more looking at the colors and checking, you know, my paint inventory. But I have been kind of approaching this one pretty casually, and I haven't done too much research outside of these streams on it, so I might need to change. I've been very preoccupied with, you know, wrapping up school stuff and or getting ready for school stuff and wrapping up my commissions and stuff, so not much time going to this. Alright, yeah, I need to clean this too. See, the mahogany brown looks nice. Yeah, it's drying much better than it did last time we sprayed, so I don't know what was going on with it last time. I think maybe sanding these spoons is really helping out the total finish, because I'm noticing a huge difference in how they spray onto the spoon. It's really only the areas that I didn't sand that are having that like clumping problem, which you know, we had kind of seen with that yellow. Let me turn this over so you can see this on a clear surface, or at least a whiter background. Alright, so this is the just white spoon. You can see the mahogany brown is pretty deep. It's a very rich brown. Not really sure this is what I want for chunling. Let me pull this up. Actually, that works out fairly well. It's a little bit dulled, so I think I could use a clearer color on it. But her hair is pretty mid-tone. Let's see. This could potentially work as one of the darker shades, so I think what I could do is lighten this up and then maybe add some red into it and then use this, you know. I think this color is okay out of the bottle, but I think it needs some mixtures, some paint added to it, some red to make it a little bit richer. I don't think that the cocoa brown is going to cut in this case. I think the mahogany was a good choice. Now let's compare the yellow. Really not too much of a difference between the yellow and the white. A little bit of a richer color here, like more brown tone, but that's because we did have a yellow base. And so maybe a red base might work better for this too, but it's still a very rich dark color, which is not what I want for base hair. And this was on gray, and there's not really much difference at all between the gray. So white, yellow, and gray. See, they all are more or less similar, not quite as dramatic of a difference compared to the cocoa. This is the cocoa brown, so this is very red compared to these, and much more of a muted color. Yeah, this one is really muted. I'm meaning more desaturated, it's not quite as rich. So you get that a lot with these like custom mixtures from Guide Notes. This isn't like a pure brown, this is like a specialty brown. They just call cocoa brown, and so it's gonna have a different look compared to like a very dedicated brown out of the bottle. Yeah, this cocoa brown is not what I'm looking for at all. And also, I compared the colors here, so I just sprayed the mahogany on top of the cocoa brown, so you can see what a big difference it is. Kind of pretty crazy. But I'm not happy with that cocoa brown, so I'm not going to really use that at all on this kit. That's not what I'm looking for. We're looking for more yellow toned browns, I guess I should say. Yellow and orange toned as opposed to like muted reds. Let's see. Yeah, this is not bad. I think we could start with this as a base. Let's see. So in that case, what I will do, let me look on my phone real quick, see how I can get this base shade. Meaning the color in the top left of the under the hair column, there's that light brown. You can see. Let me make this bigger while I'm looking up references. So you can see under that hair, under the name hair, there's that really lightish brown. That's what I'm going to be trying to mix first. And that will serve as her base of her hair and also the highlights. So let's see. What color is that? Slightly, yeah, definitely yellow. A little more orange in it, yellow orangey. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna start to do, is we're gonna take the mahogany brown. So we'll actually start with white, add some mahogany brown to it, and then start tinting it with yellow and orange and see how that goes. I also did purchase an actual orange paint. I actually don't have any pure orange paint in my, I guess, toolkit, because I tend to prefer to mix it. It's a very easy color to mix, you just need yellow and red. So I usually just do that. Let's see. Have a good night, Rebel Star. Yeah, oh wow. Yeah, we're getting to the end here, so have a good night. We'll be going a little longer, guys, but no guarantee we'll find this color, so I may have to stop after that, but it should be fine for now. Anyway, we're going to try to mix the hair color. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I don't have any dedicated orange, but I did purchase one. Just, you know, I figured it would be good to have like a very rich orange on hand. So this is the new brand that I am trying out. It's available at New Type, and I think this is pronounced Dispay. It's a Chinese paint brand, but I have been pretty pleased with it so far. It sprays really nice. It atomizes really well. It doesn't need like a super ton of thinning. It likes to go on kind of thin, but the colors go out super rich, and so you can see this is a really bright orange. It's really hot orange. It's not really a color this bright that you can get by mixing like just red and yellow together. You'll get it similar, but it'll be a little bit dulled. So we do have this option to mix this in as well, and orange can be a very great primer to making some nice rich browns. So we might end up using that. So let me throw away some of these. I don't think we're going to be needing them. I'm going to keep one of them as reference, but they're still pretty dark. So, alright, the actual mixing begins. So not just spraying bottles, colors. Let's do mahogany. I need to pull out some other colors. Give me 1 second. Let's see. We'll use the orange maybe, not sure. Let me put the cocoa brown back. Have yellow, but I might need to pull out another yellow. Actually, I also have this other yellow. So this is a primary color yellow, which is a deeper, more true color compared to this yellow, which is lemon yellow. So we might be able to use that. Oh, and white, of course. We need white. I have 2 whites here. I actually did go out and I purchased some gloss white, but we're going to run through some of this flat white that I've been trying to get through. I prefer to use gloss white, but I had totally forgotten that like that's what I would use, and so when I bought it, I just like clicked flat because it was in stock, so not great. But we're gonna use it just for now. Shouldn't be too much of a difference in terms of the colors that we're getting when we mix. So, and I will have to start recording a little bit more accurately what we're going to be doing here, because we are adding and mixing a lot of colors together. Okay, so I'll start with my usual ratio of the 3 parts thinner, and let's see, this will be hair, face. Might need a few tries on this because I'm unsure of how the mahogany is going to interact with the rest of the white here. Ooh, this is pretty thinned out already. I'm really nearing the empty bottom of this bottle. Okay. You know, let me see. I think I might just switch to the gloss because there's really not a lot here, and I don't want to deal with the thinned out white and then have that ratio change when we're actually mixing the colors. So high gloss it is, or gloss white. Okay, so let's start with, usually start with 1 dropper of the white. Let's do half though, I'm curious. Okay, so half dropper white, just kind of whoop, broke already. Some of these droppers are not created the same. Close up the white, especially after I use it. Okay, let's do mahogany. So we're gonna kind of play it by ear here and do kind of a drop at a time, just so I can see where it's going and what color I'm getting. Very grayish brown here. Let's do, I'm gonna do half. Let's see. It's not really the color that I want. Very much not the color that I want. I'm gonna need to pull out my red as well. Problem with starting with a color like mahogany already is that you're locked into a certain range of color rather than starting from like one of the basics like red or yellow. So this might not work out. Really sticky bottles today. Excuse this one. Very yellow. Not really what I want though, but we're getting there, maybe. That's getting there. Maybe. Sometimes I take a toothpick as well. And put a little bit on. I'm gonna spray this and see how it looks, and then we can adjust it just a little bit from there, or re-look at the mixture. I'm going to be putting these on white spoons, and this one's going to be happening so quickly I'm not even going to turn the booth on, so you're just going to hear my airbrush. Don't need a lot of paint, so we'll see. Oh, that's pretty. Okay. So light coat. Very nice so far. A little bit dull, but can be lightened up with some clear color. Maybe a clear orange or something. Let's see. There we go. Straight out. Check this off. Pretty close, actually. You can see it's a little bit more red toned in the photo, but the foam colors are also pretty, I find that, especially with Android, really lightens up and adds a little bit of yellow to the photo, or the colors, so I try to take that with a grain of salt. That's pretty close, though, to what I wanted. Like, really close. I'm gonna actually spray another spoon, or maybe even two. Yeah, let's do two, actually. And then I'm gonna add some slight clear colors to those ones, and also we can try the clear brown and see how that looks, but I don't think I need to adjust that too much more. I'll have to let it sit and dry. It is fogging up a tiny bit, but yeah, let's continue using this color. I'm gonna spray a couple more spoons, but in order to do that, we almost ran out of spoons, so time for a brief intermission while I sand these spoons down. You can see they're really shiny. They've got this kind of like glossy coating on them, which is really messing up when I just spray directly on them. So I have to take this extra step for the bulk spoons that I ordered and sand them down. You can see that now it's not glossy at all. This is just a 1200 grit. It's like takes, only a couple seconds to do, so that means I can get usable spoons. I don't really mind. Okay, that's pretty good. That mahogany might actually work out then, which would be great, because that was the whole reason I literally bought this color. I was even on vacation and I went into like a hobby store and I saw that color and I was just like, oh, that one's pretty good. That might work for Chun-Li. I already had it in my mind for a while what I wanted to do with this kit, so. Okay, very brief. I am going to turn on my fan this time just because I'm spraying more than one spoon, and you get a little kickback from the spray. So, one moment.
Is it Thursday yet?
I've just sprayed a couple of them, some with varying degrees of paint, meaning I sprayed, you know, 1 or 2 of them with a little less paint compared to the other ones. Because again, that brown really darkens up the thicker you add those coats, and I want to make sure that this is actually the color that I want. So clean this up just real quick. And put these just off to the side. So I like to dip the blackness in there, and I don't want it to interfere. Also need to start throwing away some of these that we've used. May or may not be mixing more of those in the future. A lot of those are actually pretty broken. So I think we'll take a look at these brown spoons, and then I'm going to use some GX Color 109, that clear brown, on maybe 1 or 2 of them. I think that's all we'll have time for tonight. So really wrapping up this stream. Did manage, I think, to find a blue that we liked though, or that I like, so I'll have to return to that. This as well. That gloss that we put on that dark blue kind of faded out a little bit. You can see it's not quite as glossy as I would like, and I do see a very slight hint of blushing. So it is very humid here, and so we're getting kind of a whitish cast on these gloss parts. So just be aware that when you are spraying under high humidity conditions, that can happen because moisture is getting trapped into your coat of paint. So you can introduce a retarder to further slow that and make it dry a little bit more even. But I'm not going to mess with my bottle gloss for now. Alright, let me take another look at this. I think I just favored this. Yes, I think this is the color I'd like to go with as the base shade on the hair. I don't know if GX Clear Brown will be the way to do it though. I'm going to try the Guy Notes Brown and see if that brightens this color up. I think I mentioned it before, but the brown difference between these two is pretty dramatic. So this is GX Mr. Hobby Clear Brown, and this is Guy Notes Clear Brown. Very different look and effect you get out of the bottle here. The clear brown for Gaia Notes is way more orange toned compared to the brown. And maybe I'll show it actually. Maybe we'll have enough time so I can show you guys the difference, because these are sprayed pretty intense and these ones aren't. So why not? We'll do both of them, and maybe that will show the difference. I'm going to kind of shade around the outside of these spoons, so the inside will still be the brown that we mixed. Let me this. So yeah, we'll do both of these clear browns, and then that will be where we will wrap up tonight. Good info for tights painting. Yeah, definitely. So a lot of tights are painted, you know, with a clear brown and clear black mixture. I have found that the clear brown from Mr. Hobby is a little bit better for the tights painting compared to this Gaia Notes clear brown, which is much more orange toned. It's a little goes a long way with these clear ones too, so you really don't need too much. But you can already see it's pretty yellow out of the bottle, and dripping it onto the sheet. Pretty orange. Sorry, I said yellow, but I meant orange. So we'll do this one first, and then I will just switch over to the GX one. Got a little on my finger. Again, clear colors, you basically add thin layers until you get a more intense shade, but it can also, like the intensity of that color can vary depending on how much you thin the color. So we haven't thinned it super thin for this mixture, and kind of a lot, so it should go on pretty quickly. You should be able to see it. Alright, I'm going to turn it off, and then we'll turn it back. I'm going to turn the booth on, turn it off once we're done with the clear brown from Gaia Notes, and then switch over to the GX one. didn't really need to do too much there because the color was so intense anyway. Let me just spray the rest of this out. I'm not going to clean my airbrush in between because we're kind of wrapping up. But already you can see that the color here kind of doesn't mesh very well with the color that we mixed. It's very like orange brown, and I did go pretty harsh on the shading, so let me see how this compares. Yeah, I don't know if this will be the way to go. It might be better to use the GX Clear Brown, just because this is so orange. We'll compare the two though. Let me dump this back in here. So yeah, this color, the Gaia Notes Clear Brown, is very temperamental depending on whatever coat you have already on it, because it does make it pretty orange and it brightens it up quite a bit. And you'll see the difference with the clear brown. I was a little bit shocked the first time because I had pretty much only used Gaia Notes Clear Brown. I just like assumed it was always that orange, and so I toned it down with some clear black to make it darker actually. So the Gaia Notes Clear Orange does pair very well with the clear black, and the orange and black together can make a really rich kind of brown. So that could be an option we could do as well. Okay, one more. I'm just even going to use the same dropper here. There's not too much. Actually, it's whatever. We're wrapping up. Okay. Clear brown from Mr. Color. Mr. Clear Color, I should say. This is their clear color line. Out of the bottle, a lot darker. Here's a comparison. Well, ish. You can see the ring. So pretty much orange compared to like a dark muted brown. Maybe the lid. No, actually the lid probably won't help either. Okay, let's get this sprayed on. The other set of students. Alright, we're gonna give that just a little bit of time to settle. I sprayed that on pretty thickly, so it might also have a chance of blush. Also think I thinned it out a little bit more than the yellow, or the Gaia Notes version. So let me push this through. So I'm not looking for something that will completely change the color of the brown because I'm very satisfied with the brown color that we already pre-mixed. But I did want something that kind of lightens the color a little bit, made it brighter, because clear colors can be pretty good at that. They can just make your color more intense. So let's see here. Yeah, so this is the comparison between the clear brown from Gaia Notes on the edges and the clear brown from GX109. Not very much of a difference here. It's still kind of wet, so you can see the shininess on it, and that will kind of fade out and maybe make it a little bit darker. But it's very evident that the clear brown from the Gaia Notes clear turned this more orange tone, which is not what I was looking for at all. So I think the winner here for sure will be the GX brown. And what I would probably do is just spray our base color and then maybe lightly go over it with the GX brown, but might not even need to do that because we will be adding more colors to this hair gradient. So let's see how the two saturated pieces look. Not quite as much of a difference, so it's very evident when it's on a lighter brown, but you can still see this kind of orange tint happening around the edge here. This is from the clear Guyano's clear brown, which is not really super brown. Much more muted effect on the other spoon here. So in this case, I think the winner would be the GX brown if I'm going to be adding one small dimension of color to the base hair. Let's see. I actually did darken it a little bit though, so lots of things to consider. I think what we'll do next time, because we are hitting the point where we need to wrap up, is I will try to mix this brown again on Wednesday, and then we will go from there. And because we do need to start mixing the secondary colors and the shades that this gradient's going to be mixed with, etc. This is again a really kind of the basic color I want on there, and everything else is going to be coating on top of it. Because Chun-Li's hair is not this kind of light orange, or not light brownish color, it's much deeper and darker. So we really won't only be using this area for the highlights and stuff. But yeah, I think that's a good place to pretty much wrap up. Let me make a note here to continue, and then no Guyano's clear brown. Maybe GX101. Not sure yet. We'll pick up after that. Throw these away. I really don't need these spoons. So it's looking good. Here's kind of some of what we're working with. Brown kind of goes with everything. So here's like the maybe tights color. So very nice oranges and blue contrast in this kit, but we'll see. We'll continue later. In any case, that's where I'm going to wrap up for now. So our next stream will be on Wednesday, as far as I know. Wednesday, August 11th, and that will probably be the last Wednesday stream. So I'll keep you guys updated, let you know how my schedule is changing, but we will be shifting times around because in a couple weeks I will be starting school. So hope you guys have enjoyed the spoons to this point. Still more spoons to come in the next stream or two till we get this worked out. But it has been fun, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your night and morning wherever you are. Yeah, have a good night, you guys. I'll talk to you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.